this believed center of it all, called I. Anybody don't call themselves I. This believed center of it all, called I. It's like it's a center, yes? Is it not an amphitheatre? Everything is amplified within it. So if you can see the amphitheatre, there is one, as we know, on this site. It's roads going out. I hear it, I see it, I know it, I experience it all. In this amphitheatre called I. And it's either returned to me, or it doesn't actually get down here. Stay up there. Stay up. Stay up there. Do not get in my body. I don't want that one on that back row in this body. And that group over there, oh my God, stay out. So, we don't see how this oneness, which is this allness, which is this nobodiness, this emptiness, this fullness, is amplified in this one called I. The space within which the amphitheatre called life is known. Silent, can still be a whisper. But somehow that whispering, deeper knowing is, as it were, amplified in all that life is moving. Situations, relationships, that the silence of knowing brings forth this amplification of one's life. And all the rows are actually moving, as it were, down to this eye point. And as those rows, as it were, descend into I, we no longer take a back seat. We're realizing, my God, not only are we now in the front seat, we're in every seat. And it gets amplified. And often a level on the back road is amplified and comes forward. And awareness might go, I don't want to deal with that yet. And can't seem to get it. It's still shouting and screaming, it's still amplified. It's really coming to the knowing through the aperture of I, where there is no center. But it's centered in its return in as I know I am. That's why things become very amplified. Everything becomes amplified. Awareness tendency, whilst it still holds, it often doesn't know it's holding, it's blinded by its own light. In the belief that light is not the objects of experience. So there's amplification. Everything gets amplified. You've got to take every seat there is possible in the amphitheatre. You've got to go through every single experience, and that awareness returning humanity realizing where it's streamed from awakens in all theatres of life. We are actually one. So there's amplification. When there's real amplification, and you're not listening, or your endeavour is to rest in the silence of the knowing, not avoiding the amplification of the body-mind experience. Then the voice of the knowing becomes sweet. Then the back row plays up and comes forward. And then you think you've lost the sweetness. But now the sweetness is pervading the amplification. But the mind still says, I'm still here. What about me? But this is an amphitheatre, this I am, that I am, disappearing into I'm not actually. Objective experience returns to beingness, and beingness returns to non-being or nothing aware. And yet the theatre still goes on. Now it's not amplified, if I can use the term at times. All is seen through, and seen to be the amplification of the knowing of the one moving. And all there is the knowing of the going out and the coming in, if I can put it that way, by nobody, but by I. The theatre is seen for what it really is, an amplification of the invisible, undivisible, not two, but one, and even less, zero. This lands where it lands, however it lands in the apparent hearer, from the apparent speaker. But the amplification of the return of awareness to knowing, it becomes a bigger life. Sometimes the mad life. As it were, a speeded up life. And the objects that used to sit at the back of the theatre now come towards the front, until all the seats are emptied of being someone that ever achieved or did anything. Then there is brightness, or delightness, or wholeness, but the theatre goes on.